Hello guys, I am Vaishali Kikaner and we are discussing chemistry. We are discussing chapter 3, the molecular compounds and the intermolecular forces, and today we are going to discuss a lot of concepts and some sample problems in this chapter. So we are going to start our discussion with the bond polarity. To understand the bond polarity, we have to understand the bonds. We have two types of bond, which is the ionic bond and the covalent bond. The covalent bond is further divided into two types, the polar covalent bond and the non-polar covalent bond. Now if I focus upon the polar covalent bond, in the polar covalent bond, we have the atoms with different electronegativity. So if I have a diatomic molecule like Cl2, in the Cl2 we have two atoms which are chlorine, and both of them will be having the same electronegativity, and thus I can say we are not having any of the atom to be more electronegativity, and this type of molecule is my non-polar covalent bond molecule, right? So here we will be having the non-polar covalent bond. In the polar covalent bond, I will always be having the atoms with different electronegativity, like if I talk about hydrogen and chloride. So in the HNCl, we have chloride as a more electronegative atom and hydrogen as a less electronegative atom. So I can say this is a polar covalent bond formation, right? Now here after that we have the unequal sharing of bonding electron. The bonding electrons are unequally shared with both of the atoms, right? The more electronegative atom is going to attract the bonding electrons towards itself. Shared electron tend to be clustered closer to the electronegative atom. We all know the electrons are in a continuous state of motion, and this moving electron is now clustered around the more electronegative atom. So here at the more electronegative atoms, and we will be having the negatively charged end, or we call it as a negatively charged pole, and the other end where we have the less electronegative atom, this is my positive pole. Now bond polarities depend upon the electronegativity difference. If I talk about H2, in the H2 we have both of the hydrogens as the same electronegativity. If I have both of them having the same electronegativity, the electronegativity difference is 0. So here the bond polarity will not be there, right? If I talk about Hn, here if I talk about the electronegativity difference in the bond of hydrogen and nitrogen, the electronegativity difference, you can see it is 0.9. so obviously this is a polar covalent bond, right? If I talk about hydrogen oxygen bond, here the electronegativity difference is 1.4, which is more than the electronegativity difference of Hn. So I can say the bond polarity of HO is more. If I have more electronegativity difference, the bond polarity would be more. So for hydrogen oxygen bond, we have more bond polarity, and more partial positive and partial negative charge are formed on hydrogen and oxygen respectively. Coming to the molecular polarity. So in the molecular polarity, we have two types of molecules, polar molecules and the non-polar molecules. Now we have to understand what is a polar molecule. Polar molecule will be having the uneven distribution of electrons, which results in a positive charge at one end and a negative charge at the other end, right? So if I have the uneven electron distribution, like here if I talk about hydrogen oxygen bond, we have uneven electron distribution, and due to which oxygen will be having the partial negative charge and the hydrogen will be having the partial positive charge, right? For example, we have other molecules as well, like HCl, H2O. In the non-polar molecule, electrons are equally distributed among the atoms, resulting in no localized charge. There is no partial positive and the partial negative charge. If I talk about O2, this is a diatomic molecule of having same atom. So in the diatomic molecules having the same atom, we will never be having any polarity, and this type of molecule will be non-polar molecule. And CO2, in the CO2 also we don't have any kind of polarity, so this is again a non-polar molecule. Now coming to the tutorial 1, where we are going to understand how to determine the polarity of a molecule. We have different steps, and based upon these steps we are going to understand some examples as well for the sample questions. So first step is to determine how many atoms of which elements make up a molecule. We have to understand if I have oxygen atom, how many oxygen atoms are there? If I have hydrogen atom, how many hydrogen atoms are there? Right, so we have to understand how many atoms are present and in which element are present to make up the molecule. Second, we have to draw the Lewis structure of the molecule. Then after drawing the Lewis structure, we have to determine the number of covalent bonds in the molecule. We can understand how many covalent bonds are present by knowing the shared pair of electrons, right? If I have some shared pair of electron, that many covalent bonds would be present. Then I have to determine the electronegativity difference for each covalent bond. If the electronegativity difference is 0, then it is a non-polar bond, and if the electronegativity difference is in between 0 to 1.7, it's a polar covalent bond. Right? If the polar covalent bond in the molecule is there, we have to now indicate the partial positive and the partial negative charge on it. Right? So now partial positive charge will be denoted at a lower electronegativity atom. Now we know which atom is having lower electronegativity and which atom is having higher electronegativity. Partial negative charge will be denoted on the atom which is having a higher electronegativity. Then we have to interpret the diagram. We have to examine the shape. Now if the shape is symmetrical, then I will not be having any polarity. If I have the asymmetrical shape, then my molecule would be polar. So we have some exceptions to these general rules as well, and we now need to know that based upon these exceptions we can have some variations in the polarity of the molecule. Now coming to the diagrammatic representation. So now here we have all covalent molecules. Based upon the delta En, the electronegativity difference, we are going to classify it as the molecule having the polar covalent bond and the molecular which has only non-polar covalent bond. The molecular having only the non-polar bond will be having the electronegativity difference 0, and now here if I talk about the molecular which has polar covalent bond, it will be having the electronegativity difference between 0 to 1.7. So this is my electronegativity difference over here. Right? Now if I have the molecule which has non-polar covalent bond, then it is classified as a non-polar, right? So like Cl2, S8, we have these type of covalent bond in these molecules as a non-polar covalent bond. Now coming to the molecule which have the polar covalent bond, right? Now we need to know how many bonds are there. If I have only one bond and if it is a diatomic molecule, right? And the electronegativity difference between the two atoms is in between 0 to 1.7, then it is a polar like HCl or HI. Right, now coming to the more than one bond. If I have more than one bond and it's a polar covalent bond, in the molecules all of the bonds are polar covalent bond and it has more than one bond. This is a polyatomic molecule, and now again we have to see the shape, symmetrical or asymmetrical shape. In the symmetrical shape we have the non-polar structure like CO2 or SiCl4. In the CO2 we have the carbon which is connected with two oxygen atom. Here we will be having partial negative charge, and here on the carbon we have partial positive charge. Here again we have partial negative charge. This is a symmetric structure, and here the polarity is in this direction, here the polarity is in this direction. So the polarity are equal and opposite which are going to cancel out each other, and thus this molecule is considered as a non-polar molecule. So all of the symmetrical shaped molecules like CO2, SiCl4, these are my non-polar molecules. Now coming to the asymmetrical shape. Whenever I have the asymmetrical shape in the molecules which have the polar covalent bond, then this type of molecule will be my polar like NH3H2O. Now coming to the general chemical formula, how we summarize this. So in the general chemical formula of diatomic with two different atoms, diatomic, two different atoms like HCl-HI, it's a polar molecule like HCl-CO. The nitrogen and three other atoms of one element. So with the nitrogen we have three other atoms like hydrogen, 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 and here we will be having lone pair of electrons. So this again is a polar, right? So here we will be having example NH3 and NF3. Right, after that we have oxygen and two other atoms of one element like H2O. So oxygen here will be having two lone pair of electron, and then it will be connected with hydrogen. Like here hydrogen and oxygen is polar, hydrogen and oxygen is polar. So if I see the bond of hydrogen and oxygen, this is not symmetrical, so again I can say this is a polar molecule. Now coming to the carbon and other atoms of two or more elements. So if I have with carbon the different type of elements combined like CHCl3, C2H5OH, so this is a polar. If with the carbon we have the same type of atoms, the carbon and two or more atoms of same element like CH4, CO2, so at that time we will be having non-polar for sure. The diatomic with two identical atoms like N2O2, like obviously if I have diatomic and two atoms are identical, then the electronegativity difference is 0 and it is non-polar. So I hope you understood how we can classify them, and with the help of this trick you can solve the questions just by looking at it. So now coming to the question, determine whether a molecule of fluorine is polar or non-polar. Fluorine is diatomic and having the same atoms, right? So in the same elements, right? So here if I talk about diatomic with two identical atoms, so here it is non-polar. We can just see it and say it's non-polar. Now coming to the stepwise denotion, how with the help of various steps we can understand that fluorine is a non-polar compound, right? So let's start with the step 1. So here in the fluorine there are two atoms of fluorine in a molecule. Now we have understood how many atoms are there of which element. 2 atoms of fluorine. Step 2 is the Lewis structure. You can see here on the Lewis structure we have 2 fluorine which is each fluorine is having 3 lone pair of electrons. Step 3, we have to find out the number of covalent bond. Here you can see we have only 1 covalent bond. Step 4, we have to find out the electronegativity difference. If I don't have any electronegativity difference, I directly call it as a non-polar bond, and thus this is a non-polar molecule. Coming to the question number 2, which states, determine whether a molecule of ammonia is polar or non-polar. Again I can say this is a nitrogen, ammonia is NH3 nitrogen with 3 identical atoms, right? So here nitrogen with 3 other atoms of one element, it's a polar. Now we have to understand this with various steps. First step is finding out the various number of atoms and various elements present in ammonia. In ammonia we have 1 nitrogen atom and 3 hydrogen atom in each molecule. If I talk about one molecule, it is having NH3, so 1 nitrogen and 3 hydrogen atom. Step 2 is to draw the Lewis structure. In the Lewis structure we have the structure like this, where we have 1 lone pair of electron on the nitrogen and 3 hydrogen are combined by sharing of the electrons. So here we have 3 covalent bond, and now we know the electronegativity difference of nitrogen and hydrogen is in between 0 and 1.7. so the electronegativity difference is 0.9, so it's a polar covalent bond. Each of the NH bond is polar covalent bond. Now we have to denote the partial charges at the step 5. So now here you can see, here we have hydrogen has less electronegativity, so here hydrogen is denoted with partial positive charge. Nitrogen is more electronegative, so it is denoted with partial negative charge, right? On the nitrogen we have denoted a lone pair of electron as well. Now step 6, so here we have 3 nitrogen hydrogen polar covalent bond, and it is asymmetrical with a lone pair of electron. You can see the structure is asymmetrical, and here we have this kind of asymmetrical structure resulting into a polar molecule. So this is a polar molecule, hence verified. Now coming to the next concept, which is comparing bonds and intermolecular forces. Right, so if I talk about ionic compound and the molecular compound, we have to compare the type of bond in between these two. Ionic compound will not be having any intermolecular forces. Here we are not having molecules in ionic compounds. Right, so here if I talk about ionic compound, all of them are solid at the room temperature. Ionic bond is there which is holding all of the ions together. Right, so here if I talk about ionic compound like NaCl, so NaCl would be there, again Na would be there, Cl would be there, so all of them are connected with the ionic bond. So here we are not having any kind of molecules, right? So they are solid at the room temperature and the ionic bond is holding all of the ions together. There is no difference between the bond that hold one formula unit and those that hold all of the formula unit together. So here if I talk about one NaCl and another NaCl, if they are placed in the vicinity of each other, these NaCl will be having the ionic bond. So all of them are connected with the ionic bond. If I have n molecules of NaCls, all of them are connected with the ionic bond. So there is no different bond which is connecting one NaCl with another NaCl. Same ionic bond is connecting all of the NaCl. Coming to the molecular compound, they are generally gases or liquid with low boiling point or solid with low melting point at the room temperature. Why? Because they have the weak intermolecular forces, right? So they have forces between the molecules of the molecular compound which is relatively weak. So here with the addition of small thermal energy only, these can overcome these intermolecular forces and they can be converted into gases, right? So here the gases would be present due to the lower intermolecular forces. Liquid will be having generally higher intermolecular forces and the solid somewhat more intermolecular forces. So now these all can be reduced by giving some thermal temperature. Now the chemical bonds, ionic or molecular bonds, are always stronger than intermolecular forces. Thus whenever if I am talking about the chemical bonds, either I am talking about ionic bond or the covalent bond, both of them are stronger than the intermolecular forces. So now coming to the types of the intermolecular forces. The Dutch physicist Johannes van der Waals in the late 19th century gave the theory of intermolecular forces. So he gave us three types of intermolecular forces. First is the dipole-dipole force. So dipole-dipole force will be having an intermolecular force of attraction between slightly positive end of one molecule and slightly negative end of adjacent molecules, right? So if I talk about HCl, right? So in the HCl, hydrogen is slightly positive, chlorine is slightly negative. Again, if I have one more HCl, hydrogen is slightly positive and chlorine is slightly negative. So the force in between this slightly negative charge of one molecule and the slightly positive charge of another molecule is the dipole-dipole intermolecular force, right? So now coming to the London dispersion forces. These are the weakest forces of attraction which are present in between all of the entities, including non-polar molecules and unbonded atoms, right? So if I have non-polar molecules, dipole-dipole interaction will always be present in between the polar molecules. If I have H2, right, so whenever I have two hydrogens and here also I have two hydrogen, so there is no partial positive and the negative charge, so these hydrogens are connected with the London dispersion forces only, and this London dispersion force is not present just in the non-polar molecule, it is present in the polar molecule as well. So it is present in non-polar as well as unbonded atoms caused by temporary imbalance of electrons within the entity. So here in this entity we can have temporary positive, partial positive and the partial negative charge, and here also we can have temporary partial positive and the partial negative charge formation. So the electrons, we all know these are in continuous state of motion, due to which they can form the partial negative charge over here if I have more electrons over here, right? And here also if I have more electrons over here, we can have the partial negative charge. So due to which we can have the partial positive and the negative charge, which can have the force of attraction, which is the London forces. Now coming to the hydrogen bond. Hydrogen bond is again a type of dipole-dipole force, but one of the atoms should be hydrogen over here. So hydrogen, when it is attached to a highly electronegative atom, right? So if hydrogen is connected to fluorine, so this fluorine is having partial negative charge, hydrogen will be having partial positive charge. Again we will be having hydrogen and fluorine, fluorine partial negative, hydrogen partial positive. So at that time we will be having the bond formation between this partial negative charge, which is fluorine, and the hydrogen, having the partial positive charge. So this type of bond formation, so hydrogen fluorine, fluorine is partial negative, hydrogen partial positive. So this partial positive hydrogen is connected with this partial negative fluorine with the help of hydrogen bonding. Now we have the larger charge difference, then the bonding would be more. So here we will be having more force of attraction if I have the large charge difference. So if I compare HF and HCl, we know fluorine is more electronegative and chlorine is lesser electronegative. So HF will be having the higher attraction in between the one HF molecule and the another HF molecule. So hydrogen bond will be more attractive in HF as compared to HCl. Then the small size of hydrogen atom is again a factor which is giving me a large attraction in the hydrogen bonding. In the biochemistry also, hydrogen bonding is present in between proteins and DNAs. So I hope you understood all of the concepts that I have discussed, and I hope you are going to meet me soon in the next class. Thank you so much.